General Vekthor stood at the back of the War Council chamber, his forearms crossed tightly against his chest. The massive room was filled with the most powerful military leaders in the Kaldrith Empire. Their scales gleamed under the bright lights, and their voices echoed off the high ceiling as they discussed the war. The war against the Zorlok Collective had been going on for 3 years now. Both sides had lost millions of soldiers. Entire planets had been destroyed. The Kaldrith Empire was running out of soldiers, and everyone in this room knew it. Emperor Threxkal stood at the center platform, his red scales darker than any other Kaldrith. He was old, over 200 years, but his voice still commanded respect. "We need more forces," he announced. "The Zorlok are pushing into our territory. We cannot let them win." "What do you propose, my emperor?" asked General Korthen, the head of the ground forces. The emperor's eyes swept across the room. "There is a species that has stayed neutral throughout this war. They have colonies across the galaxy. And they run trade routes through both our territory and Zorlok space. They have done well for themselves while we bleed." 2. Vekthor felt his blood run cold. He knew exactly who the Emperor was talking about. "The humans," the Emperor continued. "They have been part of our galactic community for 30 years. They trade with us. They use our jump gates. They benefit from the peace we provide. It is time they contribute to the war effort." Several generals nodded in agreement. General Korthen spoke up. "The humans have minimal military presence. A few patrol ships, some defense stations. They will not be difficult to conscript. They are weak," another general added. "They spend their resources on hospitals and trade ships. They have no warrior culture. They will serve as support troops, medical staff, supply runners." Vekthor could not stay silent any longer. He stepped forward, his footsteps heavy on the stone floor. "My emperor, I must speak against this plan." The room fell silent. Every eye turned to look at him. The emperor's expression hardened. "You dare disagree with me, Vekthor?" "I do, my emperor, because I have seen humans up close. I have fought beside them. I know what they are capable of." Vekthor's voice was steady, but inside, he was desperate. He had to make them understand. The emperor gestured for him to continue, though his posture showed annoyance. 5 years ago, my fleet was caught in an ambush at the Kelsor border. The Zorlok destroyed half my ships before we could retreat. My flagship was heavily damaged. We had over 300 wounded soldiers, and our medical bay was destroyed." Vekthor paused, remembering that terrible day. "We sent out a distress call, not expecting anyone to answer. We were deep in neutral space. Get to your point," the Emperor said coldly. "A human medical ship arrived. It was called the Mercy of Soul. The doctor in charge was named Min Jun Park. He and his team of 20 humans came aboard my ship." Vekthor looked around the room. "My emperor. They worked for 16 hours straight. They saved over 200 of my soldiers. They used techniques I had never seen before. They were efficient, skilled, and tireless." "So they are good doctors," General Korthen said with a dismissive wave. "That is why we want them in our medical corps." "You do not understand," Vekthor said urgently. 3 hours after they arrived, a Zorlok distress call came from nearby. Their ship had also been damaged in the same battle. "Do you know what Dr. Park did?" The room was silent. "He split his team. Half stayed with us, half went to help the Zorlok. When I questioned him, he looked at me with these calm eyes and said, 'They are wounded. That is all that matters.'" Vekthor stepped closer to the Emperor. "But that is not what frightened me." "Frightened you?" The Emperor laughed. "These weak healers frightened you?" "Yes, my Emperor. Because while they worked, I watched them. I watched how they moved. Every action had a purpose. No wasted motion. No hesitation. They worked in perfect coordination. like a military unit. And I realized something. Vekthor's voice dropped lower. These humans were not naturally peaceful. They were choosing to be peaceful. There is a difference. Nonsense, another general scoffed. We have studied humans. They have small military forces. They avoid conflict. They focus on trade and medicine. They are prey species that got lucky with technology. Vekthor shook his head. I asked Dr. Park about his past. Do you know what he told me? Before he became a doctor, he was a soldier. He fought in 3 wars on his own planet. Most of his medical team were former soldiers too. They chose to heal instead of fight. But they remembered how to fight. One ship of former soldiers means nothing, the Emperor said. We are conscripting their entire species. My Emperor, please listen. I looked into human history after that day. Their planet, Earth, has never known true peace. They have fought wars for their entire existence. Thousands of wars. They have created weapons that could destroy their own world several times over. They nearly wiped themselves out multiple times. Vekthor's voice was almost pleading now. They chose to stop fighting each other when they reached the stars. They chose neutrality, but they did not forget how to fight. The Emperor stared at him for a long moment. Then he laughed. It was a cold, mocking sound. Other generals joined in. You want me to fear a species because they used to fight among themselves? General Vekthor, I am disappointed. Every species fights itself before reaching the stars. It means nothing. The Emperor turned away from him. The humans will join our war effort. They will provide medical support, supplies, and if needed, soldiers. This is final. Vekthor felt something heavy settle in his chest. He had failed. My Emperor, I beg you to reconsider. Leave the humans neutral. Do not force them to choose. Why? The Emperor turned back, his eyes blazing. Give me one good reason. Vekthor met his gaze. Because, my Emperor, humans are sleeping predators. Right now, they are peaceful because they choose to be. But if you force them into a corner, if you make them fight, you will wake something that should stay asleep. I have seen it in their eyes. Behind all their kindness and healing, there is something cold and calculating. Something that survived on a death world for millions of years. Something that conquered their own planet before reaching the stars. The room was silent for a moment. Then the Emperor spoke, his voice final and absolute. Your warning is noted and dismissed. The humans will join us, or they will be declared enemies of the Empire. Prepare the fleet. Vekthor bowed stiffly and turned to leave. As he walked out of the War Council chamber, he thought of Dr. Park's calm face, of the efficient way the humans had moved through the wounded soldiers, of the cold calculation behind their kind eyes. I tried to save us all, he whispered to himself as the doors closed behind him. Ancestors, help us. I tried. The Caldrith warships appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. 15 massive vessels, their weapons charged and shields active. Similar fleets appeared above every major human colony in the galaxy at the same moment. Ambassador Jae-hee Kang was pulled from her sleep by the emergency alert. She rushed to the United Earth Council building in Geneva, still fastening her jacket as she ran. The council chamber was already filled with representatives from every human nation and colony. The message from the Caldrith Empire was displayed on the main screen. It was simple and direct. The Caldrith Empire requires your military support in our war against the Zorlok Collective. You have 48 hours to agree to join our forces, or you will be declared enemies of the Empire and treated as such. This is insane, said Representative Martinez from Mars Colony. We have stayed neutral since we joined the galactic community. We have treaties they clearly do not care about, replied Ambassador Kang quietly. She had dealt with the Caldrith for 10 years. She knew their pride, their sense of honor, and their absolute belief that might made right. The debate went on for hours. Some representatives wanted to fight immediately. "We are humans," shouted Representative Chen from Luna Base. "We do not bow to threats." Others urged caution. "We have civilian populations to protect," said Representative Okafor from the African Union. Billions of people who just want to live in peace. Many were simply afraid. The Caldrith Empire was vast. They had destroyed entire civilizations that opposed them. Humanity was small by comparison, spread thin across the galaxy. Ambassador Kang listened to it all. She thought of the human colonies, the families, the children growing up in peace. She thought of the medical ships like the Mercy of Soul, traveling the galaxy to help anyone who needed it. She thought of the traders, the artists, the scientists, all the humans who had chosen to build instead of destroy. Finally, she spoke. "We must vote. Stay neutral and face the consequences, or join their war and lose who we are." The vote took 2 minutes. It was almost unanimous. Ambassador Kang sent the response to the Caldrith fleet. "Humanity declines your demand. We will not join your war. However, we offer our medical ships and humanitarian aid to both sides of this conflict. We will help heal the wounded and care for refugees. This is our contribution to peace." The response from Emperor Threxkal came within an hour. "Your offer is rejected. Your neutrality is rejected. Effective immediately. All human vessels are banned from Caldrith space. All trade agreements are void. Any human ships found in our territory will be seized." The blockade began immediately. Caldrith warships surrounded human colonies, cutting off trade routes. Human merchant ships were stopped and searched. Some were confiscated. The galaxy watched nervously as the Empire squeezed humanity, waiting to see if they would break. 3 weeks passed. Humans endured the blockade quietly. They rerouted supply lines. They shared resources between colonies. They said nothing publicly. Then came the incident that changed everything. The Mercy of Soul was traveling through neutral space with a full crew and 200 refugees from a border world caught in the fighting. Half the refugees were Caldrith, half were Zorlok. Dr. Min Jun Park was personally treating a young Caldrith soldier who had lost an arm. 4 Caldrith warships intercepted them. "Human vessel, you are in violation of Imperial law," came the message. "Surrender your ship," Dr. Park responded calmly. "We are a hospital ship. We have wounded aboard, including Caldrith citizens. We are in neutral space. We have broken no laws. You harbor Zorlok. That makes you an enemy. Prepare to be boarded. We are a medical vessel. We are protected under galactic law. The transmission cut off. The Caldrith ships opened fire. The Mercy of Soul had no weapons, no shields. It was a pure medical vessel, marked with the universal symbols of healing. The attack lasted 40 seconds. There were no survivors. The news reached Earth 6 hours later. Ambassador Kang watched the footage from a nearby monitoring satellite. She watched the hospital ship try to turn away. She watched the weapons fire tear through its hull. She watched it break apart, scattering bodies and medical supplies into the void. She watched Dr. Park's ship die. And with it, 20 crew members and 200 refugees who had trusted humans to keep them safe. The footage went out to every human colony, every human ship, every human home. Billions of people watched Dr. Park die for the crime of healing the wounded. Something changed in humanity that day. Ambassador Kang felt it herself, a cold fury that settled deep in her chest. She saw it in the eyes of the council members. She heard it in the silence that fell across Earth. The United Earth Council met again. This time, there was no debate, no arguments, no fear. "They killed healers," said Representative Chen, his voice flat and cold. "They killed refugees, under our protection. They killed people who only wanted to help." "Protocol 7, said someone in the back of the chamber. Ambassador Kang felt her heart skip. Protocol 7 was ancient, created when humanity first reached the stars. It had never been activated. It was the protocol that every human leader hoped they would never need. "Second," said Representative Martinez. "All in favor?" Ambassador Kang asked. Every hand rose. Not a single abstention. Protocol 7 was activated across human space simultaneously. On Earth, in Luna Base, on Mars Colony, on every station and settlement and ship, the message went out in 100 languages. Humanity has been attacked. Peacekeepers have been murdered. Refugees under our protection have been slaughtered. We did not choose this path. We beg to be left alone. But we will not die quietly. Protocol 7 is active. All citizens, report to your designated stations. All reserves, report for duty. All hidden assets, activate now. Across the galaxy, human colonies began to change. The peaceful trading station Harmony's Rest retracted its docking arms to reveal weapons batteries. The civilian cargo ship Merchant's Pride deployed fighter wings from hidden bays. The mining colony on Kepler 442b activated defense shields that should not have existed. Humanity had maintained its military readiness in secret for 30 years. They had hoped never to use it. They had chosen peace, chosen neutrality, chosen to be healers and builders. But they had never forgotten how to fight. General Vector received the intelligence reports in his quarters. He read them slowly. His worst fears confirmed. The peaceful trading stations were military outposts. The cargo ships were carriers. The mining colonies were fortified positions. Humans had not been weak. They had been patient. He accessed the footage of the Mercy of Souls destruction. He watched Dr. Park's ship die, the same doctor who had saved his soldiers, who had worked 16 hours straight to heal both Caldrith and Zorlok wounded. They killed the wrong human, Vector said quietly to his empty room. They woke the predator. His communication panel lit up. Orders from the Emperor. The Caldrith fleet was to engage human forces at their nearest colony, to teach them the price of defiance. Vector read the orders and felt a deep sadness. He had warned them. He had begged them to leave humanity alone. They should have listened. Admiral Song Hae-jin stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable, watching the Caldrith fleet approach New Havana Colony, 12 Caldrith warships against what they thought was a defenseless mining operation. They were about to learn the truth. All stations report ready, her tactical officer said calmly. Song Hae-jin had fought in the Pacific War on Earth 30 years ago. She had watched friends die. She had made the hard choices that combat demanded. When humanity reached the stars, she had been relieved. Maybe, she had thought, the fighting was finally over. She had been wrong. "Remember Dr. Park," she said quietly. Her crew echoed the words. "Remember Dr. Park." It had become humanity's battle cry. Remember the healer they murdered. Remember why we fight. The Caldrith fleet entered weapons range. Their commander sent a message. "Human colony, surrender now. Your military is insignificant. You cannot win." Song Hae-jin smiled without humor. "All ships, execute typhoon pattern. Show them what insignificant means." New Havana's mining equipment rotated to reveal advanced railguns. The cargo containers in orbit opened to deploy mines and missile platforms. 3 civilian freighters that had been docked at the station suddenly dropped their outer hulls, revealing destroyers underneath. The Caldrith fleet had walked into a carefully prepared trap. The battle lasted 11 minutes. When it was over, 8 Caldrith ships were destroyed. 3 retreated with heavy damage. New Havana Colony lost 2 drone fighters and 1 unmanned weapons platform. The shockwave from humanity's first victory spread across the galaxy. The peaceful humans had teeth. Sharp ones. But that was just the beginning. At Kepler Station, human forces used the asteroid field to their advantage. They hid ships inside hollowed-out rocks, let the Caldrith fleet pass through, then attacked from all sides at once. The Caldrith had superior numbers, but humans controlled the terrain. They lost 9 ships and gained nothing. At Proxima Colony, humans employed psychological warfare. They hacked Caldrith communications and filled their channels with footage of Dr. Park's murder, playing it on repeat. They broadcast messages in Caldrith language. You killed healers. You killed refugees. You killed honor. We will make you remember. The Caldrith soldiers grew nervous, angry, unfocused. When the battle came, they made mistakes, fatal ones. General Victor studied each engagement carefully. He had fought for the Empire for 60 years. He had conquered systems and destroyed fleets. But he had never seen tactics like this. Humans fought with cold logic and burning rage at the same time. They calculated every move with precision, but they fought with an intensity that terrified their opponents. They used ambushes, traps, guerrilla tactics. They hit and ran, struck from unexpected angles, turned everything around them into weapons, and they were efficient. Caldrith warriors fought with honor and tradition. Humans fought to win. They did not waste ammunition. They did not take unnecessary risks. Every shot had a purpose. Every maneuver had a goal. They are not warriors. Vector explained to his junior officers during a strategy meeting. Warriors fight for honor. Humans fight for survival. There is a difference. A warrior will face you in open battle. A predator will use every advantage to take you down. They are cowards then, one young officer said angrily. They hide and ambush. Instead of fighting fairly, Vector shook his head. Would you call a hunting cat a coward because it stalks its prey? Humans evolved on a death world. Everything on their planet tried to kill them. They learned to be smarter, faster, more adaptable than everything else. They became the apex predator of their world. Now they are bringing those instincts to war. The young officer looked uncertain. But we have more ships, more soldiers. We must win, eventually. Numbers mean nothing if you keep walking into traps, Vector said quietly. He was right. Every week brought new defeats. The Emperor sent larger fleets. But humans seemed to predict every move. They had broken Caldrith military codes. Within days, they knew where the fleets were going before they arrived. And humans did not just defend. They counterattacked. Human strike teams began hitting Caldrith supply lines. They destroyed fuel depots. They sabotaged repair stations. They targeted communications arrays. The Caldrith war machine, already stretched thin by the conflict with the Zorlok, began to strain under pressure from both sides. The Zorlok Collective watched all of this with great interest. Their intelligence services analyzed every human engagement. They saw the tactics, the efficiency, the cold calculation combined with fierce determination. The Zorlok High Command held a meeting. Should we attack human positions while they are distracted? One commander suggested. No, said the first counselor, her crystalline body reflecting the starlight. The Caldrith made a mistake. They mistook human restraint for human weakness. We will not make the same error. We will watch. We will learn. And we will leave humanity alone. On the Caldrith side, the Emperor was enraged. Every defeat made him angrier. Every loss made him more determined to crush humanity. He could not accept that these newcomers, these peaceful traders and healers, were dismantling his fleets. Send more ships, he roared at the War Council. Send everything. I want humanity broken. General Vector stood again before the council. My Emperor, perhaps it is time to negotiate. Humanity has proven they cannot be easily conquered. We could end this war, save our resources for the Zorlok front. Negotiate? The Emperor's scales darkened with fury. Never. I will not bow to these insects. We will crush them, no matter the cost. The cost is already high, my Emperor. We have lost over 40 ships in 3 months. Our soldiers fear fighting humans. Our supply lines are breaking down. Then we will use fear against them. The Emperor turned to Vector. General, you will take a fleet to the human agricultural world, New Jeju. You will destroy it completely. Every building, every farm, every human. Leave nothing alive. Let them see the price of defying the Empire. Vector felt sick. My Emperor. That is a civilian target. The galactic community will learn to respect Caldrith power. The Emperor's voice echoed through the chamber. You have your orders, General. Carry them out, or I will find someone who will. 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 I will find. Vector bowed stiffly. He had no choice. To refuse would mean execution, and another general would be sent anyway. At least he could try to minimize civilian casualties. As he left to prepare his fleet, he accessed the intelligence files on New Jeju. It was a farming colony. Population 30,000. They grew crops that fed a dozen human worlds. The data showed farms, small villages, farming equipment, storage facilities, but Vector had learned not to trust appearances with humans. He studied the files more carefully. The population demographics were unusual. Over 60% of the colonists were between 30 and 50 years old. Very few elderly, very few children. The settlement patterns were wrong too. The villages were positioned at strategic points, with clear fields of fire between them. The farming equipment included machines much larger and more robust than necessary for agriculture. Vector pulled up older records from when New Jeju was first colonized 15 years ago. The first colonists had been described as veterans, seeking peaceful retirement. Veterans. It is a trap, Vector said aloud to his empty quarters. But he had his orders. He assembled his fleet. 30 ships. The largest force he had commanded in years. Enough to level a planet. As his fleet prepared to depart, he recorded a private message and sent it through encrypted channels to Admiral Song Hee-jin. In it, he detailed his orders and his genuine regret. He ended the message with a warning. I know New Jeju is not what it appears. I know this is a trap. But I must follow my orders. I am sorry for what is to come. Please, if you can, minimize casualties on both sides. This war should never have happened. Then he led his fleet toward New Jeju, wondering if he would survive what was waiting for him there. The Caldrith fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the New Jeju system. General Vector stood on his flagship's bridge, studying the planet below. It looked peaceful, green and blue, covered in farms and forests, a few small settlements scattered across the main continent. Scan for defensive systems, he ordered. Minimal defenses detected, General, his sensor officer reported. 2 orbital platforms. Both appear to be communications arrays. No weapons. Satellites. No shield generators. Vector did not believe it for a moment. Scan again. Full spectrum. Look for hidden systems. The sensor officer worked for several minutes. General, I am not detecting any major military installations. The settlements appear to be agricultural centers. The largest concentration of people is in a village called New Busan, population 3,000. What about the farms themselves? Sir, scan the farms, the equipment, the buildings. A pause. General, some of the structures have unusually thick walls for farm buildings, and the farming equipment. Some of it appears to have been modified. Modified how? The fusion cores are oversized, much more powerful than needed for farming. Vector nodded grimly. Because they are not just for farming. Battle stations. Prepare for combat. Do not assume anything on that planet is what it appears to be. He opened a channel to the colony. Human settlement, New Jeju. This is General Vector of the Caldrith Empire. By order of Emperor Threxkal, you are ordered to evacuate this world. You have 2 hours. The response came from a woman with gray hair and calm eyes. General Vector, this is Colonel Kim Minseo, administrator of New Jeju. We are a farming colony. We are civilians. We are protected under galactic law. You are humans. That makes you combatants. Evacuate now, or face the consequences. Kim Min-seo smiled slightly. General, we have crops to harvest. We will not be leaving. If you attack a civilian farming colony, the galaxy will know what the Caldrith Empire has become. You have been warned. Vector closed the channel. He looked at his officers. Land forces, prepare for planetary assault. I want every settlement secured. Disable their communications first, so they cannot broadcast propaganda about civilian casualties. Should we destroy the communications platforms in orbit? His weapons officer asked. No. 2 Caldrith assault ships moved toward the orbital platforms. They were halfway there when the platforms opened fire, not with communications equipment, but with concealed plasma cannons. 1 assault ship was destroyed instantly. The other barely escaped. Those were weapons platforms disguised as communications arrays. The weapons officer shouted unnecessarily. Return fire, destroy them, Vector ordered. He had been right. Everything on this planet was a lie. The Caldrith fleet engaged the platforms. It took 10 minutes of sustained fire to destroy them, much longer than it should have taken. The platforms had heavy shielding. Also disguised. Begin landing operations, Vector commanded. 20 troop transports descended toward New Jeju. The farms below looked peaceful as they approached. Then, the harvesting machines started moving. The oversized fusion cores powered up, and the farming equipment transformed. Missile launchers emerged from combines. Anti-aircraft batteries rose from tractors. The farmland itself erupted with hidden weapons emplacements. The sky filled with weapons fire. 3 transports were destroyed before they could land. The others scattered, trying to find safe landing zones. Those are not farmers, someone shouted on the command channel. We are taking heavy fire from all positions. Vector watched the tactical display with growing horror. His troops were landing in a carefully prepared kill zone. The entire planet was fortified. The transports that survived the initial assault landed near the settlements. Caldrith soldiers poured out, expecting to face frightened farmers. Instead, they found combat veterans who had been waiting for this moment. The human farmers moved with military precision. They knew every field, every hill, every building. They had practiced defending their land for years. And they were not just defending, they were hunting. Vector listened to the combat reports. Squad 7 is pinned down. They are using the livestock as cover. What? Sir. They herded their cattle between our position and theirs. We cannot fire without hitting the animals, but they can fire through the gaps. Another report. The barns are fortified bunkers. We cannot breach them with standard weapons. And another. They collapsed an irrigation tunnel under our advance. Half the platoon fell in. Now they are firing down at us. The human farmers were using everything. They turned their crops into concealment. They used their knowledge of local weather patterns to attack during rainstorms that disrupted Caldrith sensors. They even weaponized their farm animals, driving herds of large creatures toward Caldrith positions to create chaos. Colonel Kim Min-seo's voice came over the open channel, broadcast to both sides. General Vector, you wanted to see if farmers could fight? We are not just farmers. We are veterans of Earth's Pacific War, the Mars Rebellion, and the Titan conflict. We came here to retire peacefully. You took that peace from us. Now you will learn why we survived those wars. In orbit, the space battle was going no better. The Caldrith fleet had superior numbers, but human ships were using the planet's asteroid belt and the debris from destroyed satellites to devastating effect. They would strike fast, then disappear into the rocks. They used the planet's gravity well to slingshot around, coming at the Caldrith ships from unexpected angles. Admiral Song Hee-jin commanded the human forces from her ship, hidden inside a hollowed asteroid. She had received Vector's warning message. She knew he was not like the other Caldrith, that he genuinely wanted to minimize casualties, but she also knew he would follow his orders. Focus fire on their support vessels, she commanded. Disable. Do not destroy if possible. They are soldiers, following orders. Her tactical officer looked surprised. Admiral, we have them at a disadvantage. We could eliminate the fleet. 3. Y. C. Ender. We are not murderers, Song Hae-jin said firmly. We disable their ships and let the crews survive. That is the human way. Over the next 6 hours, the battle raged on. The Caldrith fleet lost ship after ship, not to destruction but to systematic disabling. Human forces targeted engines, weapons, communications. They left life support intact. They gave crews time to evacuate to escape pods. On the ground, Vekthor's forces were being pushed back. Not by overwhelming firepower, but by tactics and terrain. The human defenders knew every hiding spot, every advantage. They made the Caldrith pay for every meter of ground. Vekthor's flagship took a hit that knocked out primary systems. General, we need to retreat, his second-in-command shouted. Pull back all forces, Vekthor ordered. Emergency evacuation. Leave the damaged ships, but as his ship tried to disengage, another impact struck the engines. The massive vessel began to list. Unable to maintain orbit. All hands. Abandon ship, Vekthor ordered. He stayed on the bridge until the last crew member evacuated, then made his way to an escape pod. As his pod fell toward New Jeju, he expected to be shot down. The humans could easily destroy the escape pods. Instead, they guided them to safe landing zones with laser designators. Vekthor's pod crashed in a field outside New Busan. He crawled out, injured but alive. A group of human soldiers approached. Weapons ready, but not firing. They were led by an older man, with scarred hands and kind eyes. General Vekthor? The man asked, in accented, but clear Caldrith. Yes, I am Dr. James Chen. I am going to treat your injuries now. Please do not resist. You are a doctor. I was an army medic for 20 years. Then I became a farmer. Today I am both. Doctor. Chen knelt beside Vekthor and began checking his wounds with practiced efficiency. You have a broken arm and internal bleeding. We need to get you to our medical facility. You are taking me prisoner? We are taking you to the hospital. There is a difference. Vekthor was transported to New Busan, where a building he had thought was a grain storage facility turned out to contain a fully equipped medical center. Human doctors and nurses worked on wounded soldiers from both sides. Caldrith and human patients lay in adjacent beds. Admiral Song Hae-jin visited him 2 days later. She sat beside his bed, her uniform crisp, but her face tired. Your fleet has retreated, she said without greeting. All surviving crew have been recovered and will be returned to Caldrith space under flag of truce. You did not destroy us, Vekthor said. You could have. Why? Because we do not want this war, General. We never did. Your emperor forced us to fight. But we will not become monsters just because he acted like one. She leaned forward. We received your warning message. We know you tried to prevent this battle. That matters to us. My emperor ordered me to destroy this colony. Every human. I failed him. No, General. You failed to commit genocide. That is not failure. That is honor. Song Hae-jin stood. We have been holding back. Did you know that? We could have struck Caldrith homeworlds. We could have targeted civilian centers the way your emperor ordered you to target ours. We have the capability. But we have not done it. Why not? Because we believe in rules of war. We believe in protecting civilians. We believe that peace is still possible. She moved toward the door, then paused. We killed Dr. Park. That is why this war is happening. He was a healer who tried to help everyone. Your empire killed him for it. We will not dishonor his memory by becoming killers of the innocent. We will fight your military, but we will not slaughter your people." After she left, Vector lay in his hospital bed, surrounded by human doctors who worked tirelessly to heal him. He thought about everything he had seen: the careful way humans fought, the restraint they showed, the mercy they offered even in the middle of battle. These were not just warriors. These were beings who understood the cost of war and chose to limit that cost whenever possible. Vector realized something important in that moment. Humanity would win this war. Not because they were stronger, but because they were better. Emperor Threxkal sat alone in his private chamber, watching the reports come in. Another fleet defeated. Another general captured. Another tactical disaster. The war with humanity had become a catastrophe, and still the conflict with the Zorlok Collective raged on both fronts. He had lost 60 ships in 4 months. 60 ships that should have been fighting the Zorlok. Instead, they had been destroyed or disabled by a species that was supposed to be weak. "No more," he said to the empty room. "No more defeats. No more mercy. No more restraint." He summoned the War Council. When they assembled, he stood before them, with his scales darkened to the color of dried blood. "We will end this war with humanity today," he announced. "I am ordering every available ship to attack their homeworld, Earth. We will destroy it completely. When the humans see their birthplace burning, they will surrender, or they will die. Either way, we win." General Kor then shifted uncomfortably. "My Emperor, that would require pulling ships from the Zorlok front. It would leave our territory vulnerable. The Zorlok have honored the neutral zone so far. They will not attack. And if they do, then we deal with them after we crush humanity." The Emperor's voice echoed through the chamber. "I am tired of this debate. I am tired of failure. Assemble the fleet. We attack Earth in 3 days." The order went out. Across Kaldrith space, ships were pulled from defensive positions, from supply lines, from the Zorlok border. 100 warships, the largest fleet the Empire had assembled in decades. All focused on a single target: Earth. The humans detected the fleet assembly within hours. Ambassador Jae Kang stood in the United Earth Council chamber once again, but this time there was no debate. Everyone knew what was coming. "Can we stop them?" Representative Martinez asked quietly. Admiral Song Hae-jin, attending via hologram from her flagship, shook her head. "Not with military force alone. We can hurt them badly. But 100 ships attacking Earth simultaneously? We will lose millions of civilians, even if we win the battle." "Then we evacuate," said Representative Okafor. "There is not enough time. And where would 8 billion people go?" The council fell silent. They had fought brilliantly for 4 months. They had shown the galaxy that humanity could not be pushed around. But now, they faced the terrible reality of total war. The Emperor was willing to destroy Earth rather than admit defeat. "We have to try diplomacy one more time," Ambassador Kang said. "He has refused every attempt to negotiate," Representative Chen pointed out. "Then we do not talk to him. We talk to the people who follow his orders." In a cell on New Jeju, General Vector was recovering from his injuries. Dr. Chen had set his broken arm and treated his internal bleeding. The human doctors had saved his life, just as Dr. Park had saved his soldiers 5 years ago. A guard entered. "General, you have a visitor." Admiral Song Hae-jin entered the room. She looked tired. Vector realized she had probably not slept in days. "Your Emperor is sending a fleet to attack Earth," she said directly. 100 ships. He means to destroy our homeworld. Vector felt his blood run cold. 100 ships? That will leave your borders undefended. The Zorlok could, we know. But that is not why I am here. She sat down across from him. "General, I am releasing you." "What?" "You tried to prevent this war. You warned your emperor not to force us to fight. You have shown honor even when your orders demanded otherwise. I am releasing you and providing transport back to Caldrith space. Why would you do this? I am a valuable prisoner, because I believe you are a good person caught in a bad situation, and because I want you to carry a message to your people. Song He-jin leaned forward. Your emperor is mad with pride. He will destroy Earth and probably lose most of his fleet doing it. Then the Zorlok will invade your territory, and millions of Caldrith civilians will die. All because one old man cannot admit he made a mistake. If you are in 2040, I cannot stop the Emperor. No. But maybe you can save your people from what comes after. Vector was released that afternoon. A human shuttle took him to the border of neutral space, where a Caldrith patrol picked him up. Within a day, he was back on his homeworld, being debriefed by military intelligence. The humans tortured you? The intelligence officer asked. No. They healed me. They fed me. They treated me with respect. That is unusual. Everything about humans is unusual, Vector said. They fight like predators but show mercy like healers. They could have killed me, but chose not to. They could have destroyed my fleet but disabled it instead. They could have struck our civilian centers, but focused only on military targets. The intelligence officer looked uncomfortable. The Emperor wants you to join the assault on Earth. Of course he does. Vector stood, his arm still in a cast. When does the fleet depart? Tomorrow morning. That night. Vector did something he had never done in 60 years of service. He sent encrypted messages to every ship commander in the assault fleet. He sent them the truth about humanity. He sent them footage of human mercy. He sent them the tactical reports, showing how humanity had held back, showing how they could have caused massive Caldrith casualties, but chose not to. He ended each message the same way. We are about to attack the homeworld of a species that has shown us mercy. They did not want this war. They begged to be left neutral. We forced them to fight, and when they fought with honor. If we destroy Earth, we become the monsters. If we destroy Earth, the Zorlok will destroy us. There is a third option. Think carefully about which side of history you want to be on. The fleet assembled as ordered. 100 ships. Thousands of soldiers. All prepared to attack Earth and end humanity's resistance forever. Vector stood on his new flagship's bridge as they prepared to jump. He did not know if his messages had reached anyone. He did not know if anyone would listen, even if they had. The fleet entered faster than light travel. When they emerged at the edge of Earth's solar system, they found the human fleet waiting. Fewer ships, maybe 30 warships, and countless civilian vessels that had been armed with whatever weapons humanity could spare. The Caldrith fleet vastly outnumbered them. It should have been a quick slaughter. Emperor Threx Kal's voice came over the fleet-wide channel. All ships, attack. Show no mercy. Burn their world. For a moment, nothing happened. Then ship after ship began dropping out of formation. Not running away, just stopping. Vector held his breath. Then he gave his own order. Navigation. Halt. Advance. Weapons. Power down. Sir? His weapons officer asked in shock. I said power down. We are not attacking today. Across the fleet, other ships were doing the same. 10 ships. 20. 40. 53 ships total. More than half the fleet simply refused the Emperor's order. Their commanders sent a joint message, broadcast on all frequencies. We are soldiers of the Caldrith Empire. We have fought with honor for our people, but we will not destroy a civilization that has shown us mercy. We will not commit genocide. We petition the War Council to remove Emperor Threx Kal from command and open negotiations with humanity. This war was wrong from the beginning. It ends today. The remaining 47 ships loyal to the Emperor attacked. But they were outnumbered now. Human and rebel Caldrith vessels working together. The battle lasted 3 hours. It was brutal. But the Emperor's forces were defeated. The Emperor himself was arrested by his own guards. The War Council formally removed him from power and appointed a new leader, a younger Caldrith named Selevex, who had opposed the war from the start. The new Emperor's first act was to contact Ambassador Kang. Humanity, the Caldrith Empire formally apologizes for the unprovoked war against your people. We seek peace negotiations immediately. The negotiations took 2 weeks. Humanity demanded only 3 things. First, full recognition of human sovereignty and territorial rights. No more interference. No more demands. Humanity would maintain its independence. Second, a mutual defense pact. If either side was attacked by an outside force, the other would help. Humanity had proven they were formidable allies. The Caldrith would benefit from that alliance, especially with the Zorlok situation still unresolved. Third, a formal apology to the family of Dr. Minjun Park, and a memorial station built in his honor at the location where the Mercy of Soul had been destroyed. The Caldrith agreed to all terms. 5 years later, General Vekthor served as the Caldrith ambassador to Earth. He had retired from military service after the war, unable to continue serving an institution that had caused so much unnecessary suffering. On the anniversary of Dr. Park's death, he traveled to the memorial station with a special guest. Dr. Sujin Park, daughter of the murdered doctor, was now head physician at the Park Memorial Medical Station, a joint human Caldrith facility that provided free healthcare to any species that needed it. Your father would be proud of this place, Vekthor said as they walked through the hospital wings. He wanted to heal everyone, regardless of their species or politics. He believed all life was precious, Sujin replied. Her eyes, so much like her father's, were calm and kind. I tried to prevent it, Vekthor said quietly. I know. My government showed me the intelligence reports. You did everything you could. She stopped walking and looked at him directly. You tried to save both our peoples. That matters. That is why forgiveness was possible. They continued to a large window overlooking a recreational area. Human children and Caldrith cubs played together under the supervision of teachers from both species. The children laughed and chased each other, unaware of the war that had almost destroyed both civilizations. Do you think it could happen again? Sujin asked. Vekthor watched the children playing. A human girl was teaching a Caldrith cub how to throw a ball. The cub was teaching the girl how to climb using all 4 arms. I think, he said slowly, that this generation will not make our mistakes. They will grow up knowing each other not as enemies, but as friends. They will remember that we chose peace after experiencing war. They will remember that humans could have destroyed us, but showed mercy instead. And if someone forgets, if another leader tries to start another war, Vekthor smiled, a gesture he had learned from humans. Then both our peoples will remember what happened when someone tried to force humanity into a corner. We will remember that humans did not want to fight, but when they had to, they fought with both honor and mercy. We will remember the lesson. What lesson? That humanity's greatest strength is not their ability to fight, though that is formidable. Their greatest strength is their ability to choose peace, even after winning a war. They could have taken revenge. They could have demanded reparations that would have crippled our economy. They could have humiliated us. Instead, they asked for recognition, partnership, and a memorial to a healer. Vekthor looked at Sujin. Your father died trying to save everyone. Humanity honored his memory by saving everyone they could, even their enemies. That is the lesson. Sujin was quiet for a moment. Then she said, The Emperor should have let us stay neutral. Yes, Vekthor agreed. He should have. But perhaps this outcome, painful as it was, is better. We did not just defeat each other. We learned to respect each other. We built something stronger than neutrality. We built friendship. They stood together watching the children play, 2 beings from different worlds, united by the memory of a war that should never have happened. and a peace that almost did not happen. The memorial station orbited above them, a bright light in the darkness of space. On its hull, in letters visible from the planet below, were engraved the words Dr. Park had lived by: all life is precious. All life deserves healing. All life deserves peace. Humanity had fought a war to protect those principles, and in the end, they had won not by destroying their enemies, but by teaching them a better way.